These are the stories
There is a foundation out there that helps you get back into it.
of organizations making a difference
What really limits our ability to do something is people's imagination.
and empowering others across Canada.
When I get into that sledge, I'm free, man. I'm playing hockey.
It's a great organization and it's worth supporting.
In our community.
Pictures up.
Pictures up. Let's roll sound. Rolling.
Rolling.
Sound speed. And action.
We are very lucky and very proud to be part of your amazing festival.
Hi everyone, this is Nacho Leuza, the director for Born in Gambia.
Inspiring messages from films from all over the world.
This year we had entries from 18 countries or areas of the world.
It was a must-do film and I made it from my own pocket.
You can educate, you can change the world.
Everybody's got a story to tell.
Our story starts far from Africa on a cold winter weekend in early January as the Picture This Film Festival jury members assemble in Calgary.
For your one vote, who would like to give that to Born in Gambia?
Over the next 2 days, this small boardroom turned screening room will serve as home to the jury members of this unique film festival. It's their responsibility to choose which films are in and which ones are out.
Here we go.
I heard this song. It's called Help You See.
His life changes when he meets pop star Nelly Furtado, and she invites him on stage to join her in a duet.
And I was so moved by this story and I said, oh man, it'd be so cool to meet these kids. Guess what happened? Welcome to the stage, Matthew Monias!
It takes a committed team to bring this International Disability Film Festival to life. And for Cheryl Lenthal, festival director, it's a year-round responsibility.
As the year progresses, the job changes, obviously depending on what time of the year it is, whether films are coming in, whether submissions are over, making sure we get the catalogue, the posters, the volunteers, hosts for the people who are coming in to accept the awards, whether the jury's on.
The festival started as an initiative of Calgary's Scope Society, a nonprofit agency supporting those with developmental, physical, or mental health challenges throughout their entire lives.
You get one vote, and I'm going to ask about each of the films that are there.
Denise Young joined Scope as Director of Community Development shortly after the festival began in 2001.
Just before I came to Scope formally to work, Vern, our former festival director, had some money to do video projects with people.
And we like making little vignettes with some of the people that we support. Most of it was just kind of having fun. People wanted to see themselves on camera.
Vern Reynolds Braun, former video producer and skilled audio-video technician, joined forces with Scope as technical producer and started the cameras rolling.
About a year after that, or two, why don't we have a film festival? Like, we could play these films and invite people to come. And then I said, you know, why don't we make it like a film festival? And I'll go out and we'll start getting films in from all over the place for, by, and about disabilities. And so I did some research. I spent almost a year. I went to San Francisco to a film festival I found there that had been going for many years. And they were totally run by people with disabilities, many of whom were in wheelchairs. From there, we decided to hold a festival and we got over 100 entries from around the world. Because I was constantly on the early internet then, created a very basic website, and 2001 in September we had the first festival. Well, it was almost all VHS tapes. I remember the little room we had and the shelving units. We had about 100 VHS tapes.
To store VHS, sometimes it could be like 120 film come in. You know, the storage was, you ran out of space really quickly.
No editing, so that if someone sent a film with a minute of black in front, you know, you didn't see all the films. So it was a little hairy, but we got the films played. Slowly, we would get more DVDs, and we got a bit of money to buy DVD players.
Well, then when it was sort of DVD, you know, slim, I was, oh, this is fabulous. But even then, after a number of years, you run out of space. And then, of course, it's gone digital now.
So maybe 2010 or so, we started to get many more films sent to us on hard drives.
The first few years that it was digital, you would not believe the number of formats things came in. Ooh, don't know what to do with this one.
And then of course the whole streaming download thing, people going up on Vimeo, Dropbox.
Once the submission date is passed, all the films are gathered and screened by 3 separate people, including retired nurse-turned-adjudicator Marilyn Grant.
About October, Denise gives us a call and says that there are X number of films, it could be 75, 120, whatever, and that she would be sending over a thumb drive. My task would be to then look at every one of these films, critique them, and then rate them. We have a criteria that we follow. The first category that we judge on is called genre, and that one is, does it entertain? Does it educate? Does it inspire? Did it leave an impression? Did the film demonstrate a creative approach to the subject matter? Editing, is there a flow? Does it tell a story? Is it cohesive? And the other big one is the technical, the lighting, the sound, the camera work, and the special effects. And then of course you have to give a number value from 1 to 10, and then these are filled in by each one of us at our adjudication.
The jury chooses the award winners in each of 5 categories.
Performance, documentary is always the biggest, drama, animation, and education.
Business owners, filmmakers, and a former psychiatrist, the adjudicators' backgrounds are as varied as the films themselves.
The movies have got better and better over the years.
Adjudicator Brian Gromoff is an actor, director, and now works in communications, which comes in handy at voting time.
No one forces their choice on the others by saying you've got to vote for this. You try and do it by telling them why that movie is better than the other movie. What does this movie have that the other movie doesn't?
I thought it was good in terms of his singing and so on, but there were parts that could have been actually edited a bit more. I believe the filmmaker has dedicated so much of his or her time into it. I should give them the opportunity to let me see their work.
What is so amazing is how over the years the festival has grown, not only in the number of submissions in film, but the quality of those films, the quality of the number of countries that now recognize the festival.
We want people to change their minds and attitudes, and we want that to come from a really powerful voice that's coming out of the disability community.
Our Community will return after the break. We now return to Our Community.
So we may have got shorted one, or there's something different.
We got to replace one for 2 handhelds and 1 wireless, if we're going to do like last year.
With 2 days to go, the transformation begins.
Well, we've got to transform a kind of big cavernous white space. We've got a room that's, I think, 47 feet long by 25, 30 feet wide, something like that. We need to be able to make it so that you're not getting light from the outside, because that's not great when you're watching film, that you keep the sound really good. So things like drapes and stuff like that help from sound bouncing off hard surfaces.
They're all white walls, so they've developed a system of making their own drapes.
Pipe and drape. We decided this year to purchase it. We ended up using tablecloths, which are much heavier, much thicker. Cheryl sewed curtains for a very long time, for days and days and days.
This is day 4. So I had four sewing machines and not one would work, so I had to go and buy a new one.
Take it out of the box, pull all the pieces apart.
Oh, there it goes.
I think we've just finally figured out how to get those posts out. Whoa. It's like a little victory, man.
Get them all working, get them stand up.
Do you want to go closer into the back, Cheryl? Because
Yeah.
we got about
Yeah.
an extra 6 inches here. That
Yeah, because those curtains come down.
they need some room, don't
there.
they? Yeah. I think that's gonna work. There we go, ish.
So there's 3 for 10 feet, I have this all figured out. Okay?
Just a second. Ta-da! Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, it's coming, it's coming.
Look at that.
Da-da-da. I love it when a plan comes together.
We have projectors mounted from the ceilings here. We've got big screens at the front, big tech table at the back.
I bring a lot of the equipment myself, a lot of the playback equipment and the audio equipment, and we set up a table way back in the corner. We use like an audio mixer, microphones, all the sound, and we use 2 or 3 computers to play the files, and I've got all the films on a external drive. And we rent equipment. We rent PA speakers in order to play to the audience. Scope has managed to purchase an FM transmitter that we use for audio described films if we have them, or to read subtitles on international films. We have a reader.
Keep walking over trails of flowers.
And people wear headsets if they need them.
Hello, we're going to get started with the 18th Picture This Film Festival. And thank you all for coming. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's roll the...
Motion pictures in the 1930s were the escapism of the day.
I have a book series that deals with Hollywood history and Americana.
In 1946,
Los Angeles native and author Manny Pacheco presents Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History.
Disease, disability, or aging were unwelcome detractors to our celluloid heroes. But there were hints cinema might be interested in becoming an advocate for the rights of the handicapped.
1800s, 1880. The United States was right now involved in the Industrial Revolution. We were so advanced. However, where we were not advanced was our perception of disease and disability.
In the 1880s, a couple fell in love, and they were both deaf. And they were ostracized by the community because they had announced that they were going to have a child. And it was thought then that if you had 2 people with a disability, particularly those who could not hear, that their child would be born without the ability to hear. And, well, of course, they absolutely dismissed that notion, and they had their child, who was born healthy and normal.
What they created was a child of wonder and thought. He learned to communicate with his face, his hands, his body. And it served him well when he entered the film industry. He became the most remarkable filmmaker of the silent era, and his name was synonymous for people who lived on the margins. The man's name was Lon Chaney. Unfortunately, Lon Chaney, right at the advent of sound, died of cancer at a very young age. He was only in his mid-40s.
Enter Lionel Barrymore, already a major star with roles in A Free Soul, Grand Hotel, and Dinner at 8. The studios and film fans loved him. What wasn't known to theater audiences, Barrymore was harboring a secret.
He ended up being diagnosed with advanced degenerative arthritis, and within a year he was confined to a wheelchair, and he made some of the best films he ever made while still sitting in a wheelchair. It's a Wonderful Life, where he plays the iconic Mr. Potter, Key Largo with Bogey and Bacall, and of course, most impressively, he was in the entire run of the Dr. Kildare series.
An active doctor. This was unheard of. An active doctor in a wheelchair in 1939 for the entire run of the vastly popular Dr. Kildare series. He played Dr. Gillespie. These were money-making movies, and they were also movies that were changing the perception of disability in film in the 1930s.
Even though Barrymore didn't want his disability acknowledged on screen, there was a change going on in Hollywood to champion the stories of those with disabilities and cast disabled actors as well.
Character actor Lionel Barrymore changed the trajectory. It really opened the door for folks with disabilities and subject matter that had to deal with disabilities.
One of the most fragile forms of identity is the notion of being a normal human being, because everything threatens it at all times.
The social model looks at how able-bodied filmmakers and actors have exploited negative depictions of disability, while an emerging grassroots disability film movement fights against outdated portrayals of disability in film.
The Hunger House came about because of my interest in disability history.
Justin Edgar is a writer, producer, and director at 104 Films in the UK and co-producer of The Social Model.
So what I wanted to do was take an audience into the Nazis' euthanasia program. And this was before they came for Jews or gypsies or homosexuals or anybody else they persecuted and executed. They came for people who had disabilities.
My first thing was, it's a beautiful story for a documentary.
The informative and inspiring documentary Tools for Solidarity comes to the festival from Hungarian filmmaker Bela Mayer.
It was a short report, a short interview in a paper about a blind Hungarian girl who left Hungary, went to Ireland and working in this foundation. And they refurbish sewing machines and send to Africa, helping people.
Someone mentioned the idea of tools, the idea that you could collect, refurbish and fix tools and send them to people in Africa.
It was a must-do film, and I made it from my own pocket.
Once they finish their training, they're given a startup kit of tools or a sewing machine, all of which have been donated and refurbished in the UK by people with learning disabilities and mental health problems.
After secondary school, I didn't want to go to university because I want to try this job. So how does it work? So I got in the Hungarian television as a director assistant, and I did want to make features film, but I got to the documentary section, and I was not happy. But after the first job, I realized it's a great possibility to know the world.
We were taking skateboarding pictures, skateboarding videos. Skateboarding kind of got me going.
At 27, Kaio Kathriner is already an accomplished filmmaker.
Today's a pretty special screening here because not only did we shoot 50% of the film here, there's a lot of old friends and the whole Losada family's here. Well, thank you guys so much for coming.
A mutual friend of mine, a girl I grew up with, she knew Shauna Jimenez, and Shauna has been resettling refugees to the rural area in the Kootenays for over 30 years, and she does all this amazing work with these refugees with disabilities. When I said that I want to maybe make a film and meet these kids, she was all about it.
Without any more ado, we'll get on with Refuge in the Rockies.
My sister and I, Angie, we were just taking a walk when all of a sudden everything just went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was just laying in the middle of the road, bleeding. I stepped on the landmine and really affected my sister. It took her arm off and it took my leg off. My name is Anderson Losada. I was born in Colombia.
Anderson was resettled to Kimberley, British Columbia, where he discovered para-alpine skiing.
What my coach used to say, if I kept skiing and kept trying my hardest, I would one day be in the Paralympics.
Complications with Anderson's Canadian citizenship prevented him from competing in his first national competition. His story impacted an amendment that changed the Citizenship Act to aid refugee minors.
I do want to congratulate Anderson on becoming a Canadian citizen.
You can change the world.
Our Community will return after the break. We now return to Our Community.
Big welcome to the 18th annual Picture This Film Festival Awards evening. It has been absolutely fantastic, and we've had 11 different groups of filmmakers here over the 3 days, and we have some with us tonight. Yes! I would like to move on now to the dynamic duo.
Batman and Robin? Not exactly. Jim Crisco from Accessible Media, Inc.
It shows the strength of the disability community.
And adjudicator Brian Gromoff.
The first category of awards tonight is in the genre of documentary. Documentaries are kind of windows to our world. And the jury has chosen to give an honourable mention in the category of documentary less than 30 minutes, and that goes to the Canadian film Refuge in the Rockies.
Whenever I'm skiing down a mountain, I feel a sense of freedom. To me, being a Canadian citizen is a dream come true.
It's very special to screen here and be awarded this awesome award. Thank you guys so much.
In the category of documentary over 30 minutes, Tools for Solidarity.
We collected the tools. We found a youth organisation in Belfast that refurbished them, and they went to Somalia, Ethiopia and Sudan.
We are very pleased to welcome film director Bella Meyer, coming to us all the way from Hungary. Welcome, Bella.
Every filmmaker is waiting to find a big story, so I am very lucky and very grateful to find this story. Thank you very much.
Born in Gambia takes us on a journey to discover how children can end up living on the streets. The filming style, which had to be done in secret and at night to protect the children involved, is very much part of its strength as a documentary. The films show how these children are the victims of a society which, out of ignorance and poverty, is unable to protect them. It also demonstrates the resilience of the children through the community they create. We have received the following video acceptance.
Hi everyone, this is Nacho Leuza, the director for Born in Gambia. I would like to thank both the festival organization and its jury for awarding Born in Gambia as the best documentary short film. Best wishes and thanks again. Bye bye.
Our next category is animation.
Tea Time, created by filmmaker Guillaume Blanchet. On the surface, this film tells the story of two tea bags that decide to write a different ending for themselves. Using the analogy of the tea bag, this is a poignant, beautifully filmed stop-motion animation that illustrates the plight of the people fleeing danger or conflict, following their dreams, and trying to find a new place called home. The jury said that Tea Time was a captivating, well-executed animation.
Best of Festival Award winner is a drama based on the true story of Chuskit, a girl living in a small village in the Himalayas. After suffering an accident, she becomes a paraplegic, fighting for inclusion at her local school.
The jury said that this film proves the point anything is possible.
What the picture this film festival is doing is providing to a local community inspiring messages from films from all over the world to send a message of hope, of inspiration, of entertainment.
Storytelling, art, films, these are things make a real difference. Thank you for joining us tonight and for celebrating all of this work. Good night.
Producers Tim Tester and Linda Blackwell. Videographer Tim Tester. Editor Tim Tester. Narrator Jim Van Horn. Integrated Describe Video Specialist Simone Cupid. Regional Content Specialist Jim Crisco. Coordinating Producer Jennifer Johnson. Director Production Kara Nye. Director Programming Brian Perdue. VP Programming and Production John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2019 Accessible Media Inc.